It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. We're back again. My lovely assistant, Miss Callie and I. She's a little pooped. Look at her. A little tired. We just got back from shopping. Yeah, it's kind of warm outside. It's our 4th of July weekend. Woohoo! And we'll be making lots of treats, but there's other things we're going to be making too, besides picnic food. I'm going to start out with making a strawberry jam. Now, everybody's asking me about it and how do you do it and this and that, and it is so simple to make jams and jellies and canning. It is so easy. It's just sometimes it can be tedious, and that's why people don't like to do it, or they don't know how, and so they're afraid of the unknown. But it is so simple to do. First of all, with our strawberries, we're going to start out with 4 cups of crushed berries. And now for your strawberries. The best way to get your strawberries. Pick the pink ones, not the dark red ones. Do you think the darker red ones that are riper, they're going to give more flavor? No, it's just the opposite. You want the light colored fruit. The light colored pink ones give you the most flavor. And that's true with any of your fruits for making jams or jellies. You want to grab the ones that are slightly underripe and not overly ripe. They give a better flavor. So what you do is, after you wash them and cut off the hull, put them in, I put them in the pot already, and just do one layer at a time and use a potato masher and mash them. When those get all mashed, add more berries, continue mashing, add more berries until they're all mashed up. What we need is 4 cups of berries total, which is about 9 pounds. 4 cups is about 4 pounds of fruit, approximately. If you end up with more, it doesn't matter because you're going to throw it on your ice cream or pound cake or something else anyway. But so what you want is a total of crushed berries of 4 cups. So we're just going to put that right into our pot. And like I said, use the potato masher. You don't want to use your food processor because that is going to deactivate the natural pectin that's in the fruit, so then your jams and jellies won't set properly. They'll get runny. So that's a big tip right there. Ooh. So this, we just have to turn this on. I got one of these great kettles. You want one that's kind of heavy duty. You don't want those flimsy aluminum ones because then you're going to scorch and burn your jams and jellies. This is a heavy duty one and it's great. I just love this thing. It doesn't stick to anything, nothing sticks to it. It doesn't burn or scorch. You can just let it go forever. But we're going to let this come to a boil. And in that, we're going to put in another secret. We're going to put in our pectin. But this is the sugar-free pectin. The no sugar added recipe one. See? No sugar added, needed. Not just because I'm diabetic, but that's a good reason. But when you're making any of your jams or jellies that are super sweet, the fruit is, like, of course, your strawberries or your blackberries, I don't have these. Anyway, the cherries, you can get sweet cherries and you can get sour cherries, same way. But any of the sweet fruits is what I'm aiming at. That's the one you want to use the sugar-free pectin for. What that does, it's going to thicken up your jams and jellies, your fruit. But the thing is, with the sugar-free one, you don't have to add that much sugar to it. We're only going to be putting in 2 cups of sugar. And that way you have more of the natural fruit flavor comes out. You don't get this overly powerfully sweet, syrupy, sugary jam or jelly. And that's what we want. We want more of the flavors to come out. Now I just did the jelly yesterday. I'm doing the jam today. But we'll let this come to a boil. And when it boils, then you want it to boil at a rolling boil. That means stirring without it stopping from boiling. So rolling boil is a continuous boil. And you want to let that boil for 1 full minute completely. boil for 1 full minute. Then we're going to add our 2 cups of sugar and bring that back to a boil for another full rolling boil for another minute. And then we just fill our jars and then put those back in the canner for 10 minutes. All your jams and jellies are timed for 10 minutes in a hot water bath. So we'll just wait until this comes to a boil. Okay, that's done boiling. It boiled for 1 minute. And now we're going to take and add 2 cups of sugar. Now if you want to, you can use Splenda, and the instructions are right in the box. It tells you exactly how much to use. I can use that if I want to for totally sugar-free, but I've discovered that when you make jellies, it doesn't give you that clear, precise jelly. You want a clear jelly you can see right through. It makes it a little bit cloudier, and that don't work in competition. So you want to have a clear color. But since it is low sugar, pectin, no sugar needed, you can reduce your sugar. And regular strawberry jam calls for 7 cups of sugar. With the no sugar added, you can use a low amount of sugar, and you only need 2 cups. So you reduce the sugar a lot. So you're not getting all that heavy sweetness into your product. So a low sugar is even better for me as a diabetic than it would be the regular sugared. Just, I got to eat in moderation. I'm not going to sit there and eat a whole jar of jam by myself. I could, but I won't. Now we added the sugar, and we'll let this come back to another boil. And when it's a rolling boil, we'll let this cook for a full minute. Then we'll take and put this into our jars. Now with your jars, just get a cookie sheet. Now this is the kind I don't use for baking, because it has the edges, but it's great for other things. This is another one of those things that you can use it for. This will be for my jams and jellies. And this is what I'm going to put my jams in. We line up our jars, keep your lid inside the ring. This is very, very easy to do. And this batch, one box makes about 5 or 6 jars. I usually get like about 5 and maybe a 1/4 or a half. Then the half one, I'll just leave it in the jar and stick that in the fridge, and we can eat that right away. Or you can use it, use it on top of ice cream if you want, or pound cake, or whatever you want to make. But then we got our jars ready, and Callie, where's my magnet? We just had that this morning. Okay, the jam part now is all ready, and my water is boiling in the hot water bath. And I'm going to put my jars in there now. And you want to take and put them in. Make sure these are not cold, like if you have air conditioning, or if they were down in your basement, they're freezing. Make sure they're at room temperature, and when you put them in, and put them in at an angle, so the water fills up on the inside first, and then place it down into your rack. You can take the rack out, fill them with water, and then place the rack back in there. That works just as well too, a little easier. But this is just the way I do it. By doing it this way, for me, I get less breakage, because you don't want to have the hot water touching your cold glass and it'll crack and break on you. And that's happened to me many a times, and other friends of mine too have done the same thing. How come my jars keep breaking? Well, you got cold glass. And when you put that cold glass in hot water, it's going to crack. The best thing to do is to fill your container up first, your glasses into your container, then turn on your water so it heats up together. That's the best way of doing it. But I do things differently. And my jam's all hot and ready to go. And then I go to my last jar and take it out. And that's why I have the cookie sheet. It collects the water. Not only that, it also takes and collects your jam if you should spill onto your counter. So as I take these out, I'm just going in order the way I put them in, so they're all in there for the same amount of time. So they're all nice and hot. And then we fill them up, put on our funnel. And you want to take and skim that foam off with a metal spoon, if you have any, which I already did. And you just take a metal spoon and you just skim off the foam and throw that away. And then we just fill our jars. And what you want to do is fill them so they're 1/8 of an inch from the top. That's the amount of headspace you want. And they're very, very picky about this at the state fair. If you don't have the exact amount of headspace, they'll throw it right out. They're not even going to taste it. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. Because it all goes by appearance of first 3 or 4 checks that they do on the list. And it could taste excellent, but doesn't matter. If it's not done right, it's not going into competition. And you want to know, well, how much is 1/8 of an inch? Now go back, you look at the rims on the edge of the jar here. The big rim on the bottom here, that's 1/2 inch. And your other rim in the middle, that's 1/4 inch. The top of the rim comes just below the top of the jar. That is 1/8 of an inch. So you fill it up until you get to that 1/8 of an inch. And you don't want to go over in competition. They'll throw it out too if you go over the line. It has to be just done exactly right. Let's see, I'm not going to get 6 full jars here. I usually I get about 5.5. But then I take this 1/2 one, and that's what I use to fill up the rest of the jars with up to that line. So remember, with jams and jellies, you want to get up 1/8 inch from the top of the jar, which is the very top line of the rims. So you got the bottom is 1/2, your middle is 1/4, and you follow that 1/4 one. See the 1/4 here, it's 1/2, 1/4, and the top one. That's your 1/8 of an inch. And that's for competition, but it's also for your home safety too. Because when you can your jams and jellies, you want to have that adequate amount of headspace so that you can get the proper seal. You want to have that air space up there so that it can seal the product. When the heat contracts and air pulls down the lid. With jams and jellies, it has to be 1/8 of an inch. For your vegetables, I believe it's 1/2 inch. And relishes and sauces like that, they're about 1/4 inch, I believe. There. Now those are all done. Now we take and wipe the rims. You don't want to have any jam on the edge or on the top, because that's not going to allow your seal to seal properly then, the lid. Because if you have any of that food parts in there, that interferes with the sealing process and you won't have a sealed jar then. So you wipe off these edges. And then what I do, it's different than what your standard way of doing it is. I take my magnet wand right inside the ring to the lid, and I dip them right in the hot water. This is already boiling. What you want to do is soak these in your warm water. It's like 120 degrees for 30 minutes, whatever. This works better because it's quick and fast. It's hot. You don't want to leave them in there. You only want them in there for like 15, 30 seconds. Because you don't want to melt the inside of that seal, that rubber. You don't want to melt it. You just want to heat it up. So I just swish them around there in this boiling water for a few seconds. And plus I add the little water seal underneath the lid to the glass. And that helps to seal them much better. You see how easy this is? It's very simple. Apricot jam, I did that already. That's even easier because you don't have to cut, well, you cut them up. But with them, you leave the skin on the apricots. You don't have to peel them off. That's what I like about it. Whereas peaches, you got to peel them off. It's such a mess. Oh. Peach jam tastes good, but it's hard to make. It's more tedious. You got to peel, boil them, and dip them in water, and I don't make peach jam that often. And you got to make sure you get the Colorado peaches so that you have the cold stone, the pit, so they can. Oh God, what's that called now? Anyway, it's because the Colorado pits, they come apart when you open up the peach. And they easily pop right out. Whereas a lot of other peaches, the pit stays in there and you can't get them out. And you got to rip it out. Those are the hard ones. Those are the ones you don't make jam with. So we got these on, and now you just squeeze, twist them tight. Not extremely tight, but you want a snug fit. And then we just plop these into our boiling water. And make sure you cover this back up, because in competition that's called an open kettle method, and that's not allowed. You want the heat to be contained inside there so that your product reaches up to its proper temperature of sanitizing and sealing the lid. So now we'll just wait for this to come back to a boil, which will just take about a minute or so. And then we'll time this for 10 minutes, and then we're done with our jam. And then we just put them on a tablecloth or paper or the placemats and let them cool to room temperature before moving them. You want them to set for about 24 hours in one place without moving them, so that the gel has a chance to set and the seal has a chance to seal. You don't want, they'll be popping throughout the day. And that'll be our jam. And now that our jam is done, we can take them jars out of the containers. And we'll just set them on our tray so they can cool. Now you don't want to have these in a breeze, a cold breeze, or near an air conditioner while these are cooling, because you're going to crack the jars. That's very important. Keep these away from a cool draft at all times, because this is glass. It's extremely hot, and when a cold breeze hits it, it's going to break. It's going to crack right on you. And there's no saving the jam, because you're going to have broken glass mixed in with it. You can't save it. So keep this out of the path of cool air. And that includes even like for your air conditioners in the other room and you got the fan blowing into your kitchen and to cool down the kitchen. Don't lay these in front of the fan then. That cool air is going to come through and it's going to crack them. So put them in a off place where there's no breeze. And just let these sit overnight for 24 hours. And these will click, but probably seal within the hour or so as they cool down. But you just don't want to disturb them because you want that gel to sit. And this is going to be a wonderful jam. Oh, I almost forgot too. One of the other ingredients I put into the jam when I was crushing the jams up is for every cup of crushed berries, you put in 1 teaspoon of powdered fruit fresh. What that is, it's vitamin C actually is what it is. And it preserves the fruit from turning dark on you. So for competition, that's a very important step to put in there, because that'll keep it from getting darker on you. At home, it's okay, you don't really care that much. But it makes it a lighter color and it stays the lighter color. It doesn't get dark on you and get the blotchy spots.